Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Just Your Average Fangirl podcast, taking place coast to coast. My name is Jordan.
And I'm Natalie. We got a lovely episode planned for you guys today. We have technically 2 movies to talk about and then one TV show. TV show that I recommended to Jordan a while ago, which is called Ted Lasso. There currently is a season 2 coming out. Currently, I guess? Yeah. But season 1 happened last year or almost 2 years ago, maybe? I'm not really sure. It's a good show. I recommend it. It's on Apple TV. And then we're going to be talking about Rocky Horror and Shang-Chi. So, Jordan.
So, first, I just wanted to say, because you're avoiding it, that Natalie is at the Cal Arts. I don't know what the full title is, but she is. Yeah, so if you just wanted to maybe like give a sentence or like however much about how it's going, like how the scene is. I know you said you went to Disneyland, which I'm gonna pretend I'm not super jealous of, but anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so California Institute of the Arts, or as someone wrote on the school wall the other day, California Institute of the Farts. So it is, I really, really love the school so far. I have not gotten to see any of the actual theaters or like dance. I haven't seen the school. The most I've seen is like the classrooms I'm in personally. And I'm still so excited about it. It's a beautiful, beautiful school and campus. And everyone is so cool. And there's just so much art happening everywhere. And it really excites me and I love it. Like there's posters for everyone's projects just all over the walls. The other like it's so cool. I love it. And on topic too, Rocky Horror Picture, during orientation week, they had a showing of it and I got to see it in a huge, huge group of just my class. So actually, I guess the BFA2s as well, because orientation, but that was an interesting experience. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the movie. But yeah, I really like it.
That's
great.
awesome. I'm so glad that you're having a good time there. I mean, I really miss you here, but like, you know, I'm glad it sounds like a great school. All right, so I guess back to business. Yes, Natalie recommended a show called Ted Lasso, which to answer your question, debuted in 2020. So yeah, it's on it's not usually, it's interesting because it's not usually a type of show that I would like actively try to watch or something. And yeah, just really? Like I don't know, just like this, because like I don't know, on the surface it's like, oh, it's like a sports show, you know, it's like features a middle-aged guy doing stuff. But then, you know, Natalie and I usually have similar tastes or tend to like some of the same things. So when she recommended it to me, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll check it out. And yeah, I gotta admit, it's a really good show. I adore it. Gotta say, I adore it. Yeah, it's like, it's just so, I don't know, like nice and sincere. I feel like how I describe it, I feel like a lot of the shows I watch are like super, or like a lot of stuff that comes out is like super like cynical, I would say, or something, which isn't always a bad thing, but I feel like you do see a lot of that, or like, oh wow, look at this thing, isn't it crazy? But like with Ted Lasso, it's like every character is like super sincere, and like I love like the fact that like everyone's like so nice to each other in the show. That's such a weird thing, but there's this moment in season 2 where this character breaks up with another character, and like, you know, another show, like another comedy show especially, like the guy would just show up and be like, fine, you're not pretty anyways, and then just, but like he was like so like supportive of her decision. She was like, all right, you know, I guess drink, you know, can you at least pay for the drinks or something? I don't know, it's just so, but it still manages to be like really funny too. Like it's a really funny show, and just like all the characters are just so like distinct and amazing, and like you think they're gonna kind of be one thing, or like they are one thing, then you realize there's like more like under the surface. And By the way, this is a season 1 spoiler review. I guess we should specify. Season 2, I'm almost all caught up with season 2, but we won't be getting into that. If we do, it just might be it'll definitely be a non-spoiler. So those are my initial sort of vague thoughts on Ted Lasso. Natalie, if you wanted to give your thoughts.
I really, really love this show. It, like you were saying before, it's a feel-good show. Unfortunately, I guess this might be a little bit of a spoiler, but not really. It gets pretty dark. I haven't been caught up for season 2, but I was talking to my parents about this because they have been watching it, and they say it is starting to take a turn for the worse. And I have no clue what that means because I don't really know the context of anything's going on. But for the most parts of season 1, it's a very feel-good show, and then it starts to touch into these darker elements later on, and it's really beautifully portrayed in a way, I gotta say. Even when Ted has like a panic attack at one point, I thought they did a really good job with that, and personally I connected to that very much. And all of it feels very real, even though it's a comedy show, and even though it's kind of cheesy and like, I wouldn't say, I don't know, it's a wee bit of melodrama, but also not at the same time. I think I'm saying that mainly because Ted's character is very open, big person, and there are people like that. So I think that's where the comedy comes into it, because all these other characters are more toned down and realistic, and then there's Ted, and then what's his name? The angry guy.
Coach Beard, is that who you're thinking? No, Roy Kent.
Roy Kent, yeah. There's Roy Kent, who's like I don't know, he's like a Scrooge in a way. I absolutely love him. And I really enjoy the show. It never fails to make me smile and make me feel good. And the comedy in it, I think, is absolutely phenomenal. It is my style exactly. But yeah, and I love the way they write all the characters. All of them have such an interesting dynamic, and there's definitely a lot of female powerful roles in the show, which I really like. For Keely, for example, I adore her. She is the sweetest pea of them all. And this is a spoiler, I guess, but her and Roy.
We're doing season 1 spoilers. Just let it all out.
Okay. Her and Roy's relationship is my favorite thing in the world. There's not a thing I love more, honestly. It just makes my soul so happy, and they're such a cute little like family together, I guess, with his nephew. It is so good. It gets me excited for things, and I love it. It's a good show. Any rebuttals or any responses to that?
Yeah, I think I totally agree that it does get darker as the show goes along, and it also gets more unexpected in certain ways, where you're just like in the final episode, I mentioned this was a spoiler of season 1, like they lose, like they get what's it called, rescinded, or like they get like brought down a level, and it's like, oh my god, but like there's still that like, we got this, guys, we just have to be like Goldfed, like there's still that like sincerity of like we just have to keep going. Like it like ends on like a sad note, but it's still like kind of happy in a weird way. And I just think there are so many moments like that where you're like, oh, like I don't know, like another moment with like Jamie Tarr is a character you hate through most of the season. Even like right away I was like, okay, Keely is too good for him, and she needs to, and then like I started like her and Roy started getting vibes, so I was like, oh my god, and they got together, I was like, oh my god, yes. Exactly. But then like there's that moment towards the end when like he like finally opens up about like how his dad is always telling him to toughen up, and like you feel like he's finally going to be part of a team, but then he gets taken out of AMC Richmond, and you're like, no. And then they play against him, and like he passes to his teammate, which scores the winning goal for the non Richmond Ted Lasso team. And then you see like his dad yelling at him because he passed, but then you see like Ted send him a little like army like men, and then he says like,
Oh my
like, you know, great past or something. I don't know, but like even like for small, like the smaller characters like that, they have like such a great arc and nobody is like completely villainized, which is what I really like.
Mhm.
Like, we can get into like all the individual characters, but like I guess I'm leaning towards Rebecca, who's like another character who's like initially presented as more like villainous. Like you see her motivation, like of why she's doing what she's doing, but you think this is going to be her path through the entire season. But then in the end, she slowly starts to like Ted and realize, and she tells him, and instead of being like, you know, what she's been doing and why she hired him, but Ted, instead of being mad, he's just like, I forgive you. Like, I've been through a divorce. Like, I know, like, it can make people do crazy things. And it's just like that sincerity and the fact that, like, nobody is really completely, like, villainized, which is what I really like. I guess the closest thing to a character we just don't like all the way through is Rebecca's ex-husband. What's his name?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
like besides, he's like a very minor character that is just really mostly mentioned. Like besides that, all like the main characters like are so well rounded. So yeah, those are my I guess initial thoughts. You wanted to
Yeah.
bounce off of that?
Yeah, definitely going back to Rebecca's character. In my head, I kind of totally forgot what she did at first. So basically, I guess a little explanation is Rebecca divorced her husband and then inherited his team, the Richmond soccer team or football team, and she fired the coach because they were a pretty good team, I believe. Or I don't remember exactly, but she hired Ted, who literally had never coached soccer football before, and she thought he was going to ruin the team and make everyone's lives miserable, and her ex-husband is going to be mad about it and all this stuff. And of course that did not happen. For some reason, not for some reason, Ted was just such a good human being and a like trying individual that he actually started making the team better. Like not only like just emotionally better and altogether better, and he started making the space a happier and safer space. And one of my favorite things ever is when he brings shortbread to Rebecca every morning, the little pink box. And I actually, when I was watching it for the first time, I made shortbread and I would eat it while I was watching it. And it was just a great feeling and it was super cute and fun. And yeah, God. And so basically, Rebecca is just trying to sabotage Ted and the team over and over again. And at one point, she hires like a photographer, I guess, like a paparazzi kind of person to get blackmail on Ted. And it's actually him with Keely, and he's just like fixing her hair or something like that. But it looks romantic in the context of it all. And that was gonna like ruin their lives for a bit, but it gets solved, and it it's what I really like about I'm like not making any sense probably right now, but just trying to straighten out my ideas. What I really like about it is it talks about like confrontation in a way. When we see Rebecca like struggling with realizing like, oh, she enjoys Ted as a friend, oh, this is gonna like ruin their lives, oh, this is gonna hurt other people, she finally like deals with it and forces herself to tell the truth, which is something that's really hard to do in most situations, especially how far she dug herself into this hole. And it was a very kind of distressing and beautiful moment, especially because we know all of this is happening and we know Ted is such a good person. He doesn't deserve any of this. And we feel that same emotional journey with everyone in the show, I guess. And it's so weird. Like it's such a funny comedic show, but when you really think about it and all the details in it, it's talking about such like real and humane issues, and it's sad in a way. And I think what they're doing as they're transitioning into the second season at the very end of the first season, they're talking more on those issues and they're getting deeper into it, and the comedy is starting to fade away but still not at the same time, and it's still a very beautiful and energetic show, but it's so weird. And what I also really like about that is you're seeing Ted's journey and you're seeing his just emotions throughout it, and you're feeling that with him because the show is getting darker and all that kind of stuff. Ugh, I really like the show. I think it's beautifully done.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I feel like
Am I frozen for you right now? Because you are frozen for me.
Oh, did I unfreeze?
You unfroze now.
Okay.
Did I freeze when I was speaking?
Yeah, no, I heard you speaking. You just, all right. Anyways, yes, I agree. There's a really big theme about like, I guess I remember, I think at one point, like Keely even says like accountability like matters, Jamie, or something, but like that idea of like accountability too and like confrontation. Cause yeah, I didn't even think about that, but it's like a theme that permeates like throughout the show. Like I think like one of Ted's main arcs is like letting his wife go, and like because she's like he still loves her, but she's actively falling out of love with him, and it's so sad because you could see that she doesn't want to, but she is. And he eventually, after they visit, after her and Ted's son visit the UK, he decides, all right, it's time. But even then, like it takes him like a whole episode before he can finally like get himself to like sign the divorce papers. And he has a heart attack, not a heart attack, a panic attack. Like, and just that it's just like so like heartbreaking because like how much she means to him, but it's just something that he has to like face. I guess like he can't like dance or keep dancing around it. And like even with other characters, I thought of like Keely and Roy's relationship, and how like Keely sleeps with like Jamie, and like because like after Keely and Roy kissed, Roy was being kind of distant, I guess. But then there's like in any other show, they would just kind of like not talk to each other or like talk behind their backs, but they like confront each other about it. Like, and they're honest with each other too. Like Keely's like, I knew what Jamie wanted, I didn't know what you wanted. And like Roy's like, I've had a lot of like one night stands and I just want to try to be more honest. And that's what he does. And then they have a really good relationship and it's even again with Roy, like he's the captain and he's kind of past his prime in terms of being a player. And like that's something that the other players make fun of him for. And so it's him kind of like in the finale, especially, it's facing the fact that, he's getting older and he might not be able to like play football like for that much longer, even though that's like all he knows. And like it's heartbreaking for him. But like then there's like Keely and she's like there for him. And this is something that I'm gonna thank this YouTuber called The Friendly Space Ninja did a really good video on this show, but it's also just like really good the way that like Keely, like in any other show she'd kind of be like the dumb model stereotype, but like she's actually kind of like the like mental, I don't know what the word would be, like the core of the show in a way, or like the like she tells it. And like I love that she's not like oh Rebecca, you're old or something. Like she's so like empowering to Rebecca. She's like, no, you look amazing. And like they're just like have such a good gal pal like relationship, and they're so honest with each other. And I think that's so cool. Like I mean I don't really often see personally those relationships between like an older woman and a younger woman like portrayed with that much like sincerity, you know what I'm saying? So but yeah, and there's just like so many other characters too. There's like Nate, who ends up getting promoted to a coach, and like even the first day that Ted comes, Nate's like, nobody ever asked me my name, but like Ted did. And then he eventually like uses Nate's ideas. So, and then there's like iconic characters like Coach Beard, who's just like there, but he's just like vibing, like when he has the chess girlfriend, and
oh my god,
just so iconic. All right, that's what I'll say. For now, I've been talking for a while, so.
Yeah, no. Going back to Rebecca and Keely's relationship, what I like about that, I believe there's female writers for the show. let's see. I'm not sure. I feel like there is though, because I remember being like, oh my God, that's really cool. Yeah, but the relationships portrayed are more accurate to what I've seen in the world. And the female characters don't exactly fall into the stereotypes of like, oh, female boss is usually like bitchy and all of that kind of stuff. Or, oh, Keely's character, who's a model, is more of like a dumb person and all that kind of stuff. And they don't. They go totally against that. And they go very true to how it actually is. And it's just so good to see that and feel that and connect to these characters. And yeah, literally going back to what I was saying in the very beginning, it's not melodrama. It is like realism to an extreme in a way. I was talking about this a while ago too, how this show I was reading from Christopher Durang, his writing is extreme realism, I think, rather than just absurdism, because the characters he writes aren't something that's not plausible completely. When you think about people, that's what this character is, but you're just enunciating all of those traits and personalities. And this is following that. Oh my God, hold on. And in this show, we see these natural characters, we see all their core human beings. And what's heightened, I guess, is their personalities a little bit to make it more vibrant in a way. But also when I look around at the people I'm going to school with and all the kind of stuff, that's like, these people are exactly like what's on that show. And I think it's crazy though to see that, because in my head I didn't even think about this before. It was just like a comedy, and it was on the same beat of The Office or Parks and Rec in my head, and then I'm realizing it now that's it's not. It's more realistic, and it has these deep core values and all of this stuff, and that's what makes it really beautiful in a way. I love it. It is such a good show. I need to rewatch season 1. It is so comforting to my heart, and I need to watch season 2 more importantly, because I really want to see where they're going. I think I left off on hold on, let's figure out what episode I left off on, so we can maybe talk a little bit about. I think I left off on, okay, yeah. The 6th episode, The Signal.
Oh,
basically,
so you're pretty far in.
Yeah, or I might be, no, wait. It might be the 5th episode, actually.
Do you remember like the last thing that happens?
I think, oh, okay. The last thing that happens is we found out that the person Rebecca's talking to on the app. Yeah, but I don't know anything that came after that. All I know is that there's that little nugget of something, and
that's where I'm a little bit past that, but that's about where I am too. I think I'm on episode 7.
7? Okay.
Yeah, so you're pretty far in. I thought you were like only 2 episodes in.
Yeah, I also thought I wasn't that far in, but I guess I am.
Yeah, but I'm really liking season 2 so far. I really like the way they're also expanding on some of the other players as well, in addition to the main ones, like Sam, Danny Rojas, and the new captain Isaac. They all are starting to get more. Because I adored Sam in the first season. He was just like he's like the one character I was like, I want to see more of him. Like, and I think season 2 we definitely do. And I think what they're doing with his character is really interesting. And I really love that we're getting to see more of him and his relationship with other characters. I'm not spoiling anything, just saying he gets to do a lot more. And I think it's great because I would die for Sam. That's all I have to say. I would also die for Coochbeard. He has his own little arc now too, and I love that with all my heart. So yeah, that's all I'll say about season 2. I think it's going in a really great and very interesting direction. It seems that Ted is still having, it's not quite as clear, like he's having some emotional problems, but it's not quite as clear, like if it has to do with the divorce or something else, or maybe multiple things. that's sort of something we're still trying to figure out, if that makes sense. So that's all I'll say about season 2. Natalie, do you want to give your thoughts?
What I'm finding the most interesting about season 2 so far is Nate's character development and his character art so far. So as we saw from the last season, Nate now gains this, he's now one of the assistant coaches, and this is a level of power he's never really experienced before. And in the second season, we see him kind of struggling with his relationship to this role of power, where he's not really getting the recognition or acknowledgement he wants or needs in a way. And then when the new kind of water boy, I guess, what is it? Like Nate's old job. What was that called?
I don't know. It's like, yeah,
I'm gonna call it the water boy, basically, because that's what
water boy.
Towel boy, yeah, like one
Yeah.
of those kind of jobs. We see Nate just be a complete jerk to him, and he's really just like repeating the cycle of power and mistreatment and just bullying altogether in a way. And it was just really interesting to watch that, because before you would be rooting for Nate and like you just thought he was a sweet pea and you're like, oh, I feel so bad for him, like, and yes, you still do feel that way, but he, I don't know, I like kind of lost.
Yeah, I feel like Nate just sort of feels insecure about his position, because for so long, like, he was like, like demeaned by the other players, and so just sort of repeating that, and like maybe he's very like insecure about his position, and like even like, I'm not gonna spoil, even when something else happened, you can sort of feel him, I guess, feel a little threatened by his position.
Yeah, exactly. And real quick to that, when he is threatened, he's then motivated even more, and he does start to get help a little bit. And the thing is, it's annoying. I love Nate's character truly, and I understand where he's coming from when he starts to repeat this cycle of abuse, but it's still annoying because I feel like he as a person is conscious enough, and he is the type of person who would be ending the cycle of abuse, but instead we see him continue it, and it's annoying in a way. Like, I wish they hadn't added that in or wrote that in. And
I mean, the season's not over yet.
Yeah,
so.
I know. And you do see him start to change, but just that one little bit of that made me not root for him as much as I wanted to. And I thought that was really annoying. And yeah, I feel like the characters in the second season so far are written a little bit differently. I mean, I think they're kind of continuing with the darker aesthetic of the show, but it's interesting. It like hits a different part of your heart when you're watching it, and I love and hate that at the same time. Because before, when I first watched the show, I was watching it to like, it was like a mindless watch in a way, where you don't have to like pay attention. Like, it's not like emotionally invested show like Hannibal or something like that. It was like a light show, and now it's not that anymore. And I like what they're doing with that, but I also miss the really, really lightheartedness of it. But yeah, second season, I like how they're also branching off of the other characters. And I guess this isn't really a spoiler, but we see a therapist come into the show. And what I'm disliking about the whole situation is how Ted is responding to that. I do understand where he's coming from, and I'm sure he has all of his reasons, but it just seems very unlike his character in a way for how he's responding to it and interacting with it. And I haven't watched enough to like understand where their relationship's going to go yet, but it's been weird to watch it so far. The second season in all has made me a bit uncomfortable, but I am enjoying that, you know?
I get that. Yeah. No, yeah, I 100% hear what you're saying. So is there anything else we could move on to? All right, so we're going to talk about the midnight screening classic, cult classic, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Just to pull up some stats. The film was released in 1975. It's directed by Jim Sharman. It stars Tim Curry, Richard O'Brien, Meatloaf, and Susan Sarandon, and a bunch of other people. And it's a musical, and it has sort of kind of gotten like cultural, I guess, fame from its like midnight screenings, which I sort of had that experience. But yeah, so Natalie, I'll let you talk about what your experience was like watching this. Was it like just everyone watching in silence? Were there call outs?
So okay, now I don't know. Anyways, when we watched it was all outside and there were definitely call outs. It wasn't as intense as like the usual midnight showings where people like get the V drawn on their forehead and they're like all like tasked to do all these things. Like it wasn't that intense. It was more just like people shouting out the call and responses and then like dancing to the time warp. So it wasn't that extreme, but when I was talking to people who really liked the movie about the movie, it's really a cult classic. Like it is. I didn't even realize how much it's a cult. Like I don't particularly understand why people get so intense with the movie, which just like some of the fans I've seen are a bit too extreme in a way where I don't know, but God, it's a real cult classic. Like it boggles my mind how much of like a group of people just I don't know. I'm like speechless in a way about it when I think about it actually. But it was really interesting. I liked the energy of watching it with other people. It was also I had not seen a movie where there was that many people together in a space. So the energy of it was really lively and all of that. But it was weird. Like I did think it was a good movie and I did enjoy it, but I cannot comprehend how people can get so into it to the extreme of what I've seen so far. It's so weird. um yeah, I'm just gonna say that for a second because I need to collect my thoughts after like thinking about everything real quick.
Yeah. So my experience was a little different. There were a bunch of call outs. Some people did like some like movements and whatnot. It was a little weird because like we were inside and so like the sound quality on the screen wasn't the greatest. So when people would do call outs, sometimes I would be like, wait, what are they calling out for? Like, so like that was just more of a technical thing, not really like, but it was still really fun. And I feel like without the like part of me is like, oh, I just want to watch the movie. Like I can't, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like some parts would have been a bit boring without the call outs. I don't know, because I think by the end, I was especially like, wait, what is this story about? Like, I was just like so confused as to what was going on that I didn't even mind the call outs. But that's not to say I didn't think it was a bad movie. I didn't think it was a bad movie. I just thought like some parts were definitely more boring than other. It was some parts where the call outs were more welcome. But like for example, I think where the movie really shined was in like the majority of its musical numbers, which I thought were all really good. I loved the opening song. I also thought just something, or should I say someone that was just legitimately great in the movie was Tim Curry as Dr. Frankenfurter. I just thought he stole the show in every scene he was in. I loved him. I could see how he's definitely like a cultural icon. The costumes were all really cool, like for everyone. I thought a lot of the sets were really interesting. So yeah, those are sort of, I mean, I know like it's intentionally supposed to be like I don't know what you would call it, like a tribute to like sci-fi and like B movies. So like a lot of it is very like melodramatic and like like doesn't like intentionally like doesn't really make a lot of sense, or it's just kind of there to like be fun or lead to another musical number, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like
Yeah.
an alien, but like it's just like, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so it was definitely an experience, which I can see how people could get behind. Like it wasn't like a slow like drama where you're like, oh, what's the scene gonna like? It was very like it felt like a filmed stage play, I would say. I don't know, but like in the best way. Like the costumes were super elaborate,
Mm-hmm.
like the characters were all like really big. The cop I thought of like Damn It Janet, which is like super like corny, and you have all these like funky like visual gags. There was a lot of interesting stuff in this movie. I'll let you kind of go off of that if you agree, disagree, or
It's weird. So after I watched the movie, I enjoyed it. I thought, oh, that was fun. I liked that. That was a cool experience. And now thinking back at it, I don't know if I liked it. Like it might have been the thing where it's just the energy of everyone there. It loved the movie to such an extreme, like diehard fans all around. And I don't feel the same way. I do love Frankenfurter and Riff Raff, and those are my two favorite characters. And Frankenfurter is an absolute icon, and I adored his character and all of that stuff. And there were parts of the movie that I thought were really funny, but I definitely remember finding myself being like, "Can I go to bed now?" Like throughout the movie, like a bunch of times. And okay, unpopular opinion, I guess. I don't like the music besides the time warp. Like, it didn't really. It was a bit too cheesy for my soul. Objectively, I'm sure it is good, and it's a it's a very loved musical, so there it definitely is good in a way. But in my honest opinion, it didn't jive with my soul as much as I wanted it to, and it's weird thinking back on it. I don't think I liked this movie, which I didn't expect now, because I remember like coming out of it and I was like, ah, yeah, it was fun. But now that's kind of died out a little bit. But one thing I do really enjoy about the movie is their world building in a way. A lot of the stuff came out of nowhere and was really random. Like the whole like alien thing at the end. Did that make sense? No, it did not. Anyways, but I liked the visual aesthetic of the movie as a whole. It was very peculiar. And that one kind of ending scene where Frankfurter's doing like a musical number and performing in a way. And then we see him in the pool and there's that, oh, it's weird. That it's yeah, the whole movie is a fever dream in a way. And I think that's what makes it really fun. And I think a lot of people really enjoy that because fever dreams are awesome when they're done like correctly movie wise. But I think for this one, it was a bit too random for my liking and for my taste. Overall, when I think about the individual aspects of the movie, like the costumes, the makeups, the character building, character dynamics, all of that's really good. But when it comes together as a whole for me, I personally don't enjoy it as much as I want to. And yeah, I guess, okay, I guess that makes sense for me why I don't understand why it's a cult classic, really, because personally, I wouldn't be a part of the cult and that cult classic kind of aesthetic. So yeah, I guess that's my thoughts on it. It's weird. But yeah.
yeah. So I guess just kind of bounce off. I mean, I personally like the majority of the music. There were a couple songs where I was like, okay. And I probably will take back something that I said. I don't think it's a very good movie, but I think a lot of it is very like fun. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why a lot of people really latch onto it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like just sort of like the fun of like, oh yeah, let's just shout and go crazy and yell at all the like I think part of the its charm is that it's like kind of bad and not like nonsensical, and
Yeah.
like the narrator parts were like very boring. Is like the fact that like because of that, like people can just yell at the screen and like, you know, make fun of all like the absurdities and like the stuff that like just doesn't make sense. And
Hmm.
I can also see like the fact that people would like to like dress up as some of these characters. I
Yeah.
think that would be fun. I know so I think that's part, because yeah, I don't think it's a very like good movie, and a lot of parts did feel kind of boring, like if there weren't any call outs. Like I could see like if
Hmm.
I was watching this in my, like especially when we get to the alien stuff, I was like really kind of checking out at that point, like as, but like I think like part of the charm is the fact, like also like a lot of I guess the queerness of the film, which like wasn't very common in the 70s. Like you did start to see this movement, but I feel like that's something that maybe a lot of people in the LGBT community could maybe like identify with, or like it like embrace that part
Yeah.
of themselves, if that makes sense. You know, I'm trying to get into the
I think
mindset
that
of like the like maybe why people like are really like big fans, because I enjoyed the experience of watching this. I, even though I don't think the movie
Mhm.
itself was very good, though it did have good elements. Like we talked about Tim Curry, Riff Raff was really, Riff Raff and Miranda, I would add, were really fun characters. I thought like set design was really interesting in some scenes. So yeah, just trying to get into the mind of like
Yeah.
why, like it sounds like especially at your school, like a lot of people are just like obsessed with it. So yeah, let me know if you agree or not.
I think real quick, definitely a big part of the movie is its stance on like sexuality and gayness and all of that. And I think that's what people really connect to because it's a very kind of like pro sex and pro gay movie. And that's what people get people really excited about it. And I think that's a very freeing part of the movie because it's definitely not something that was seen at that time very much at all. And I guess that's what makes people excited about it. And that sort of participation from the audience is also very exciting for people. And yeah, the overall weirdness of it. And from what I was talking to, from what I understood from talking to people who really like the movie, is they also really love the music. So I think that's definitely its main parts, right? So it is a cult classic and such a fan favorite movie. And I understand all of that, but personally, it just didn't connect with my soul as much as I wanted it to. And I think there's also that pressure of having so much hype from the movie. Like anytime I talk to anyone about this movie, they're like, "Oh my god, it's such a good movie! Like one of my favorite movies ever." And so that's why it's kind of a conflicting opinion for me. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, so I totally get that. I guess like the music thing is definitely more of a personal preference. You know, you either don't like the music or
Mhm.
you don't. So I guess I can understand that. Like do we want to maybe give the movie a rating or
I do not want to give a movie a rating because I have zero clue what I would rate it. Because it's like the same opinion of when I first finished watching the movie. I was like, oh, I like that. That was really fun. Like, ah. And now looking back at it, I'm like, did I like that? So I don't know exactly where I stand on the movie. And yeah, I don't know where I stand. So I'm going to leave it as a question mark out of 10, you know?
okay. I totally get that. I think the experience of like doing a midnight screening of it, I would definitely like, even though my ours sounds like mini versions of that, I think a midnight screening of it would be really fun. In terms of the movie itself,
Yeah.
though, I'd probably go 5 out of 10, because I don't know, it's really hard to like, I'd have to watch it again, I think, like just on my
Mm-hmm.
own to judge the movie itself. It
Yeah.
did have some good elements, but I just think like the screenplay itself was just sort of a little too absurd at points, to the point where I just kind of checked out, I guess. I don't know. and like a lot of the
I,
pacing was really weird.
mhm. I know what you mean. It's not that it was too absurd for me. It just, yeah, I guess it was more tempo. Like overall, there's just, I don't know. There was something just like wrong with it that it didn't connect with me and it didn't line up with me. As yeah, I guess yeah.
All right. Well, that's where I stand for now. I guess that's where we both stand.
Mm-hmm.
Any other final thoughts, or maybe move on?
No other thoughts. It's time to move on to this lovely movie you're about to talk to. No spoilers, because I do really want to see it.
They all die at the end. No, I'm kidding.
Oh no.
Oh no, not Endgame. No, I'm kidding. Okay. So yeah, if you can't get what we're getting at, I saw Shang-Chi, which is the and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the newest Marvel film. And Natalie has not seen it, so this will be a strictly non-spoiler review. So if anybody else has not seen it, don't worry, no spoilers. I will talk about something interesting though. I'll talk about that at the very end. But overall, I really enjoyed the film. I think this is the first time in a while we've had like the only other one I can think of was like Captain Marvel and recent memory, but like a Marvel film that introduced, well, not even Captain Marvel, because it just had Captain Marvel, but like there's Nick Fury. Like this was the first Marvel film that like almost fully introduced like a new group of characters and like a new world. And I really liked Shang-Chi as a character. I thought his character arc was really different, and the way they sort of like built this new like secret world was really interesting, and it was really beautiful. And like the mythology, I guess, behind like the 10 rings and like who Shang-Chi isn't like revealed right away. But as the movie goes on, you start to learn more and more about him and like why he's been like hiding, I guess I would say. I thought the actor did a great job. Let me pull up the Shang. I really liked I thought the direction was really good, especially I think definitely this is one of the best Marvel films in terms of the combat, like like the fights were so well choreographed. Like I feel like a ton of like they just rely on shaking him too much, and you can't even see like what the fuck is going on. But like the choreographs were so like well staged. No spoilers. There's this great fight on a bus, and then like on a building. I'll just say that, and they're like really well choreographed, and I think they did a great job of blending like the CGI and stuff. Because I feel like sometimes like they lie too much to the point where like it feels like these are just rag dolls being thrown around, like there are no stakes to any of this. But I think Shang-Chi did a good job.
Yeah.
Good job of balancing that, of like making it seem like, oh, like physics are real in this universe, while also doing like the like magical stuff. And like making the fights look really like graceful and like, but also like they hurt, you know what I'm saying? Which is something I don't think like Black Widow did very well. But I really liked Aquafina's Katie, who's essentially like the comedic relief, and also like Shang-Chi is one of his friends. I know some people found her kind of annoying. I personally really liked her. Not all, some of her jokes felt a little misplaced in certain parts of the story, but otherwise I thought she was a really great addition to the story and a great like window into like this world and like who Shang-Chi is. And I really liked one of Shang-Chi's familias, I will just say. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but I'll just keep it as like not a spoiler. I thought she was like a total badass. I think I would have liked a little bit more like emotional conflict from her, I guess. Because I feel like she was so cool, but I wish we got to see maybe a little bit more of her in a way, if that makes sense. Because I don't want to say she remained stagnant. Like what they did with her by the end, I was like, okay, that makes sense for her character. I don't know. There's just something I wish I had a little, because I did really like her. I thought the villain was really interesting. Another like really complex villain from Marvel, where like they weren't just this like mustache twirling, like I just want power. Like there really was something else, it made the fights all the more like emotional too. Like there was like, which leads into my biggest complaint about the movie, which is I was starting to get some like third act fatigue. By the end, I just felt like the third act went on a little bit too long. To the point where I was just like starting to like check out a bit, where it just felt like CGI noise. Again, no spoilers, but like I felt like at the beginning, the fights were super emotionally impactful, but then it just kind of kept going, and then I was just kind of like, okay, like, it just wasn't as effective as like the more emotional like moments of the fight. And I feel like they could have stopped it at a certain point and maybe like done some more character stuff or something. I don't know. I just felt, maybe I was tired. I just felt myself getting like a little checked out, is what I would say.
I have a quick question. Sorry to interrupt what you were saying. So you saw the movie in theaters, correct?
Yes.
Were there lots of people there to an extent?
Not really. We saw it on a Sunday night, so
was there enough people to like feed off their energy when you saw the movie?
I think so. I also went with a group of people, so like a group of friends, so we kind of just like fed off of each other.
Yeah. And do you think the experience would be different if you saw it like on your computer in your room?
I don't know. Because the only reason I'm thinking is because I watched the Suicide Squad like on my laptop at home, and I know you watched it in theaters, and I enjoyed the Suicide Squad. So I think you would enjoy Shang-Chi if you like watched it at home. I think you would enjoy it. I feel like the CGI is a lot better than in certain recent like Disney and Marvel movies. So I feel like to that extent it would be really well enjoyed on the big screen. But it's still definitely like watchable, like on your laptop. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. In terms, do you want me to give my rating or?
Yeah, definitely.
I was like very like 7.5 out of 10. I think like I was very like, because the thing is I thought it was like in terms of the effectiveness of what it was doing, I think it's like an 8 out of 10. But I ended up on my Letterboxd, also follow me on Letterboxd, anyone listening is not. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. The only reason being I didn't quite enjoy it as much as like the Suicide Squad, which I gave like an 8 out of 10. But I think it's like very like 7.5 out of 10. I think in terms of like the effectiveness at like as a movie, it's like an 8 out of 10. In terms of personal enjoyment, it's like 7.5, closer to a 7 out of 10, if that makes sense.
No, that does. That does. I'm really excited to see it. I was looking at theaters around me to see it, and there was one that's in 4D, where it's like seats move, wind's blowing at you, water splashing on you. So if I could see that with like those effects, I feel like that could be really fun and really cool. So fingers crossed that I am able to do that.
That would be very cool. There's a lot of water in the movie, I'll say that.
Perfect, even better.
And when I say like I don't know, I should probably clarify my rating system. Like when I say 7, like a 7 out of 10 for me is like it was really good. Like a 6 out of 10 for me is like it was good. 7 out of 10 starts with really good. But like it's like a 7.5, I would say. I might change, but that score might change between a 7 and an 8. I like saw it yesterday, so I'm still trying to process it. So
yeah,
I guess so that 7 might change to an 8 and vice versa, but those are my initial thoughts. So
nice.
Yeah.
what was your favorite Marvel movie?
Oh my god.
That's a loaded question. Never mind.
No. I think I'm like such a basic bitch. Like my favorite Marvel movies are just like the fun ones, like the Guardians films and like Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. What would the ratings be of Thor Ragnarok compared to this?
8. Like they'd be like an 8 out of 10, or like, which is, I don't know. Like I loved them, but like I don't know if they're like a 10 out of 10, like perfect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I know that's like so like stereotypical me to say like, oh, like superhero movies, what, they can't be a 10 out of 10. To all have you know, I rated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse a 10 out of 10. So but yeah, I think that's why I'm hesitant to give it an 8 out of 10, just because I didn't quite like it as much as those films, though I did really enjoy it. I don't know. I'm like, there's a bunch of Marvel films I haven't seen since like they came out, so I don't even know what I would rate like Civil War or something if I rewatched it.
Yeah, that's a good movie. That's one of my favorites. I gotta say. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm really excited to go see it. I think it's a good movie. I feel bad for saying this, but like, I don't know. Have you seen the Eternals trailer? No, I have not.
I feel bad. Like it looks kind of boring. I don't know.
Oh,
I feel bad for.
I'll have to look into it.
Because like the cast looks really great. The director supposedly is really great. I don't know. It's just like, I was just like a little, it just looks like I know the director comes from a slower paced indie film background. And like, which is like great. And like a lot of my favorite directors have, but like, I don't know, like the movie just looks kind of boring. I don't know. But this is where I'll lead into my existential dread I kind of felt, or like my mid like Marvel life crisis. Because in the Eternals trailer, they have a line like, so now that Iron Man and Captain America are gone, he's gonna lead the Avengers. And that just like put me in such a state like the rest of the night. Like it just like I was like, wait, like the Marvel universe keeps going, but Iron Man and Captain America, they're gone. And I just and Black Panther and Black Widow.
Yeah, got, like, who's left?
I just got like so depressed thinking that like half of the original Avengers are gone now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, who's left?
All right, not to bring down the mood or anything, but I just kind of have that existential dread of like, but like, yeah. So, what would you say you rate your favorite Marvel movies?
I think Endgame was one of my favorite Marvel movies, just because I saw it in theater. It was funny because I hadn't even seen Civil War, when I saw Endgame in the theaters, and it was like right after it came out too. So there's a lot of people there, and it was like the most emotional experience I've ever had watching a movie. And I think that was definitely like a 9 out of 10. But for me, the Suicide Squad, actually, no, I would say like 8.5, 9 out of 10. But for me, the Suicide Squad was a 10 out of 10. Like that is such a good movie. Everything I could ask for in a movie. But yeah, I also really like Civil War. I would rate that an 8.5 out of 10. Guardians of the Galaxy, 8.5, 9 out of 10. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy like 7 times the first month it came out. So good. James Gunn, man.
You know, I'd actually rate Endgame pretty high too, like an 8 or a 9, just because like it's Endgame and it's just like the emotion that film brings out of me.
Exactly. I totally feel that.
So that'd probably be out there too, but yeah.
I love Marvel. I need to get back to my obsession with Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah, same. I guess is there anything you've been watching that you wanted to talk about, or like a movie or a show, or because I feel like I've been talking.
I have not had the time
to hear my voice.
No, that's not true. I haven't had the time to watch any more like movies and shows. I will be watching Lego Batman this week, and I'm excited to watch that for the first time. And it's also technically my first Batman movie, so that's going to be interesting.
Okay, that's it. We have to do the Dark Knight trilogy. in the future. Have to.
Perfect. Okay.
I guess speaking of in the future, would you say would you want to try to do it every like week, or did you hear me? Sorry.
I no, I did not hear you. Go
Oh,
again.
would you want to try to keep like doing this every week?
Um,
That's
every week, if not every other week, would be good,
okay. Because I was thinking maybe
depending on the schedule.
yeah. Because I was thinking maybe next time we could talk about Ted Lasso season 2 if we do it like in the next 2 weeks. I found out I'm gonna be watching Citizen Kane in class.
Oh, I would love to talk to you about that because I watched that the other like a month ago.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
I did not know that. So you've been watching.
Yeah, my family, because I was like, no, this is before I left for school because I was telling my parents, I was like, I have not seen any like classic movies. They're like, you got to watch Citizen Kane. I also really want to watch Clockwork Orange, I think
I
it's
want to
called.
watch that too.
Okay, so that definitely is a movie I want to talk about in the near future. So,
Okay, so we'll have Ted Lasso season 2, and then
what if I can watch that?
What If, and then Citizen Kane pinned up there if we can watch that. I'm gonna try. I haven't had a lot of time to watch anything besides Ted Lasso, but I'm gonna try to finish Cowboy Bebop in the near future. I know I still have to finish that, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have those 3 things.
Awesome.
We're gonna try this. So I guess that's it. Any final thoughts?
Thank you so much for watching. Give a like, give a subscribe, comment any suggestions down below, of course. And as always, thank you for listening. If you're out there, we love you
Bye.
lots.